What should happen to a guy who lies under oath? What should happen to a guy who does that? Here's Chris Van Hollen questioning Bill Barr. Sorry.
You looked at the report, right? And you looked at the evidence of the report, and you made a decision. And you said that the president's not guilty of criminal obstruction of justice.
I'm going to give my reaction and comments, about the report after the report.
Well, it would have been, but you put your view of the report out there on this issue of obstruction of justice, right? Nobody asked you to do that.
Right, 3 weeks before.
I didn't put my view of the report.
Well, the thing is, you put this out there. I mean, the president went out and tweeted the next day that he was exonerated.
Right.
That wasn't based on anything in the Mueller report with respect to obstruction of justice. That was based on your assessment. That was on March 24th.
Right.
And now you won't elaborate at all as to how you reached that conclusion.
Well, it was the conclusion of a number of people, including me, and I obviously am the Attorney General. It was also the conclusion of the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein.
I understand. No, I've read your letters, Mr.
And I will discuss that decision after the report.
Did Bob Mueller support your conclusion?
I don't know whether Bob Mueller supported my conclusions.
Holy crap. And that day, I remember that day listening to him waffle and twist himself into various positions of the Kama Sutra. Looked like a twister game had just broken out at the Judiciary Committee, right? That he wouldn't comment on the report that he had just commented on 3 weeks earlier until the report actually came out, but he gave the president the word exonerated. I mean, it was just such a PR strategy. And this is what the judge has found. She said the fact that Trump would not be prosecuted was a given. Was a given. The Attorney General's characterization of what he'd hardly had time to skim, the Mueller report, much less study closely, prompted an immediate reaction as politicians and pundits took to their microphones and Twitter feeds to exonerate and decry what they feared was an attempt to hide the ball. She said not only was the Attorney General being disingenuous then, but DOJ has been disingenuous to this court with respect to the existence of a decision-making process that should be shielded by the deliberative process privilege. The agency's redactions and incomplete explanations obfuscate the true purpose of the memorandum. So apparently the memorandum that they gave her also had redactions to mislead her about what was really going on here. She said the excised portions belie the notion that it fell to the Attorney General to make a prosecution decision, or that any such decision was on the table at any time. What she's saying here is that because of but for the OLC, okay? Because of the OLC memorandum, Mueller said outright, up front, before anything even occurred investigatively, he would not be charging the president with any crime. He would not be able to indict a sitting president. Now, here's my report about why that's a bad decision, because the sitting president committed crimes and he needs to be indicted, but I can't do it. And Bill Barr went out there and pretended that Mueller asked him to make the decision, the prosecutorial charging decision, and that was not true at all. And so all that was left was a strategy about how to beat back interest in the Mueller report itself. And they decided as a proposition, a public relations proposition, they decided, let's get ahead of it. Get it out there early that we are exonerating the president. Get it out there early that there will be no charges for the president of the United States. Get it out there. And then we'll release the report 3 weeks after the fact with major redactions, and no one will be able to figure out what the hell just happened. And you know what? They'll lose interest in this story, and we'll be gone, or we'll be in our second term by the time this thing actually rears its ugly little head again, and we'll deal with it then. Now, this man, this Bill Barr, this Rod Rosenstein dude, This president of the United States and vice president who also knew all this, and his chief of staff and that whole freaking psycho cabal, Junior, who had meetings at Trump Tower with Russians, all of them. Roger Stone, who was, guiding the release of WikiLeaks, email dumps based on the news of the day. That's what he was found guilty of, okay? Witness tampering, lying to the court, lying under oath, right? It did happen. They did do it. And people have to understand that they perverted the Justice Department beyond recognition. They turned it into a racketeering, influenced, corrupt organization. That is what they did to the Department of Justice itself. They turned it into a racketeering, influenced, corrupt organization. That's why I kept saying to you, this needs to be a RICO charge. That's why I came to the conclusion early on that what had happened in the Trump administration was the mafia. The mafia had taken over. Just a small group of old white men. They wielded all the power in this country. All the power. And how did they do that? They did it through the freaking executive branch of our government. Okay? And because there are memos that say he can do it, you can't indict him, because we have this ridiculous rule. It's not even a law. Nobody ever voted for this or didn't vote for this. No president ever signed that. No, it's never been passed into law. It's a stinking memo. And because of the existence of a stinking memo, the president of the United States turned the entire executive branch into the mafia, into one of the five families, and literally perverted the entire executive branch, literally made it into a racketeering, influenced, corrupt organization. Now, there were judges prior, Reggie Walton, as I mentioned, and Amy Berman Jackson. There were other judges that have, sat and actually, presided over the trial of Manafort, who obviously was trading money he owed to Russian oligarchs for this PR strategy. Remember, that's what Manafort was paid to do, come up with a strategy so that Russia could pick the president of the United States, so that Russia would be able to damage democracy itself. That's what Manafort was paid to do. And when he didn't do it, they started suing him. Remember? He said, all right, wait. I'll figure it out. And they figured it out. And then the little henchmen, the little twisted, weird guys, the guys with their suits and the guy. Okay, so, Gotti wore, Italian suits. Roger Stone wears bizarre suits. Okay, they're just bizarre. All of them are bizarre. Jerome Corsi is a bizarre character. Steve Bannon he wears, multiple shirts. I mean, they're just all so strange, like mafia.